Hey guys, Robyn and I decided to get on today and talk a little bit about sort of the healing work that we've been working not only on ourselves but are sort of preparing to do for others. And so I wanted to share a little bit of a story to kind of give you a little backdrop into why I was really needed to work on my healing. I was pretty badly abused as a kid. And I remember meeting Robyn when I finally admitted to her how bad the abuse was. I'm like, hey, I'm just a broken person in many ways. I feel unclean and dirty and unlovable, in part because of that big trauma. Right now, doesn't have to be, and we'll segue into big trauma and little trauma. It doesn't have to be a major thing like I went through. However, for me, it was a real easy way to go, oh yes, this makes sense. I need to heal this and have the ability to accept that I need to work on these deep layers that I just described. So if all this resonates with you, because when I scratch at the surface with clients and friends that are looking to make improvements in their health and wellness, and oftentimes they're doing everything except this sort of dirty work, right? The tough, uncomfortable work. This healing might be something you need to do. And the more and more I talk to people and share that, I'm like, oh, I just felt like broken and something's wrong with me. If you're feeling some of that, there's a good chance we need some healing to do, right, Robyn?
And it's not just big traumas. So we always start with that, but then I think for myself, I didn't have the same type of trauma, but I was raised in a broken family. And I was so angry and hurt because of it. And because of that, it drew me to Victor. But at the same time, I carried with me so much ill will for everybody else. And I had to really work on identifying that it wasn't everybody out there who was against me. It was that I had to come inside or draw inside and really work on forgiving the imperfection in the world. And so when we do all these healing classes or this upcoming healing workshops and retreats that we're going to be doing, it really is about going in and finding that hurt, that one thing that just either you don't want to forgive yourself for, you don't want to forgive somebody else for. And it's really exciting because it's something that Victor and I have been working together on in our relationship for a really long time. But
actually, there's a running joke. Well, sorry to interject, but I always tell Robyn, I can't work on this any faster. And then we'll discover a new modality, like something as simple as jumping in an ice bath sends this trigger and release, and I'm like, wow, that was powerful. I need to share that experience with others, and not only that, help them to overcome, because I have this massive soft spot for everyone I work with. Am I compassionate? Like, I know what they're doing their best that they can, but I really truly want to help them achieve that goal, that quan, the full picture of happiness.
And I think we're barely covering right now how powerful this can be. Like, this is the big one. Like, if you're willing to look inside and to just identify it, right? On Friday or Thursday, Victor and I did a video here that we talked about stress. And that the first step is if you can identify that stress. If you can bring awareness to that stress, you put yourself in control of the situation, right? It's not like, I just don't know. I'm so tired. I can't lose weight. I can't stop eating potato chips. I just don't know. When you know, then the power comes back into yourself. Well, the same thing is with hurt, okay? And we're going to call it trauma, but it's really not just trauma. It's hurt. I don't know a single person who doesn't have some element of their feelings hurt from how their parents raised them, to something an ex-spouse did to them, to maybe a childhood being bullied. There's some element in all of us that has to be worked out.
Dealt with, yeah.
And not only that, just the last 18 months, you've undergone a trauma. Whether you recognize it or not, you are absolutely under attack right now. And you know it, but you don't know where the attack's exactly coming from. Okay? And so by going through all these healing modalities, it's not like we have to identify the specific the specific stress or the specific hurt necessarily. It helps. But what we do have to do is recognize that we are stressed and that we are hurt. And then we can go through these steps. And the cleansing process, clearing out, let's say.
Yeah.
Because I don't like cleansing, since Victor always says he feels dirty from it. I'm like, no. You have to just release that energy. And it's that simple, but it's not that simple.
Yeah, I think if you want to think about it from, then we start to get into, for a lot of people, an element or a realm that might be something they can't touch. Well, this isn't medicine or science. I'm like, well, technically, let's bring in a little science.
That was hard for you at first.
And that was really hard because I was obviously, as a sort of trained strength and conditioning coach, went to college, although there were some signs there that people, even the instructors, weren't exactly in line with what I knew to be true. So the physiology associated with this is very, very simple. When you encounter a stressful situation, a traumatic, something traumatic with you, it leaves an imprint on your body, your nervous system, your muscles. If you don't believe me, put yourself in that same situation, or even think about it for a moment and see what happens. If it's powerful, you have a visceral effect. And I used to have this effect for a very long time when I would explain people, even if I said, oh yeah, I was really badly abused, usually I would get, my hands would tingle a little bit, and that was early on. Now that I've worked my way through that, I know, I can actually freely talk about it and the damage that it's created and how to honestly unload some of that, because mine was generally identifiable and extreme. And I've also had, people try to stab me and the guns pulled on me. So I can point to these major events, but in that process, I can realize identifiable. And then when I get into another stressful situation, I was going out of whack. Like, why can I not handle this? And it's a lot because of the imprint and the damage that was done in those situations. And so having an opportunity, if you have some of the signs with this, is like if you find yourself just angry, right? That's telling you something. If you're resentful in general, right? That's telling you something. Don't just think of it as that
it's
one
so
emotion.
simple for us. The reason, what really brought all of this to the surface for us was travel. Because within his bubble of go to work, be a dad on the weekends, sleep excessively, there was no room to draw this out. But as soon as we started traveling, and I'm not kidding, even last week when we went on the road trip, the residual effect of this still comes out. He becomes guarded, on high alert. It's not as much as it used to be, but it still takes a long time, and it's because that trapped trauma, that imprint. It's not like he goes and we start on a road trip and he's like, okay, someone's going to pull a gun on me at any second.
Yeah, our primal brain, and as I went through my adrenal exhaustion, I learned a little bit more about our primal brain. And I did learn that when I was in college, but to understand the simple principle, our brainstem here is teaching us, or tries to always protect us and remind us, and this is a different level, right? That if I go to the water's edge, there's a good chance an alligator is going to come to me, and it wants to remind me that every time I go to that water's edge that I should be on high alert. So on some simple level, I would integrate change, unfamiliar environment, to be very, very uncomfortable, can't relax.
And what about even the fact that he knows this and it still happens? It's like in the moment. It's really an amazing thing, and that's where it's so awareness. Like, oh wow, this is actually happening, but logically it makes no sense why it's happening.
It doesn't, and thankfully with the patience of Robyn, I can work through some of those things. Well, you're still here, aren't
We're a good
you?
team, though. I'm still here. So how do you know if, what's the next step?
Yeah.
Let's
What's
go
the
to
next step? You any of this resonates, right?
So the next step is one of two things. One, we're going to do virtual workshops. We're going to start putting together virtual workshops where we start just trying to try to build that awareness, and then naturally we'll go from the awareness to the steps to diffuse it. A lot of times just activating the cells in our energy, mentally clearing it first, maybe through, whether it's our guided meditations or we go a step further into activations, are really powerful. The right journaling prompts, getting it to uncover, this is that thing that I'm so mad at Like, how could you have got divorced? I wanted a great childhood. How dare you guys make me split Christmas between my parents? And why did you guys have to hate each other? All of that comes out, and you're like, you breathe through it. You activate the nervous system, and you diffuse that energy. And when you diffuse that energy, you actually rewire your neurons so that they can fire a new pattern. So when you're in that situation again, your body doesn't automatically go that route. It goes through a new pathway. And over time, as it goes through that new pathway, all these new experiences pop up for you. And we call them carrots and sticks. Basically, our brain right now, whatever that trauma, it's a stick. And we are 5 times more likely to remember that stick. But as we integrate with carrots, with the rewards, as we align ourselves, even through gratitude. Remember in the stress video I said you have the awareness, all those things. But the last step is that gratitude. You're rewiring from stick to carrot. Okay, and so we go through that. All of that stuff we're going to do digitally. We're going to do this way. But I'm going to tell you, the most powerful way you can do it is with us in person. Okay, and so at the end of this month, from August 28th to the 31st, we are going to do a health and healing retreat at our house in Montana, in Polson. And we're going to be able to immerse you, because you know what? This is great. Touch, this is even better when we can get our hands on you, hug you, be connected with like-minded people in person.
Have amazing food and music, and also have this extreme, right? We're going to do this deep work, but we're also going to have you in nature and eat this amazing food and be surrounded with people. It's extremely powerful to be doing this with others. They're like, hey, we're all here for the same thing. We all want to have this growth. We all want to offload this baggage and live to a level that we know we can, but have in some ways know we're self-sabotaging that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a tough one, and that's straight from my heart as well. It's like to be that joyous, bubbly self. I always tell Robyn, I'm not a woohoo person, but on some level you need to be saying woohoo. You might not need to overtly say woohoo, but you'd be like, heck yeah, So please join us. If you have any questions about what we're gonna do,
let us know.
Let us know.
All right.
Thanks.
You guys.